If you don't qualify for the non-CDL 150 air mile exception, you may still be able to drive up to the 16th hour rather than the 14th hour once per week. This is the 16-hour short haul exception. To qualify, you must meet 3 conditions. First, in the previous 5 workdays, you must report to and be released from duty at your normal work reporting location. Second, you return to your normal work reporting location on the day you use this exception and are released from duty within 16 hours. You may not have any on-duty time after the 16th hour. And third, you have not used this exception within the previous 6 consecutive days, unless you've had a 34-hour restart. In that case, you just can't have used that exception since your last restart. It's important to note that under this exception, you must still comply with the 11-hour rule. If your truck has a sleeper berth, there are some special rules that give you flexibility in how you spend your off-duty time. Remember, you must be off-duty for 10 consecutive hours before driving. Often this is accomplished by staying in a motel or at your home. With a sleeper berth, you have another option. You can combine consecutive off-duty time with time in the sleeper berth to equal 10 consecutive hours. When driving in a team, you can get your 10 consecutive hours by spending at least 8 hours in the sleeper berth and 2 additional hours in the passenger seat of your truck as it's moving. These 2 hours in the passenger seat must be immediately before or after the 8 hours in the sleeper berth. You can also get a 34-hour restart under the 60-70 hour rules by combining sleeper berth time with off-duty time to equal 34 hours. The sleeper berth and off-duty time must be consecutive. There may be no on-duty time or driving time in between. Some drivers use the sleeper berth to extend the 14-hour day. That is, they temporarily stop the 14-hour clock by staying in the sleeper for 8 consecutive hours. When you do this, you can ignore the 8 hours when you figure the amount of time remaining in your 14-hour day. This doesn't mean that you can start a new 14-hour or 11-hour period after 8 hours in the sleeper. It only allows you to complete the hours you didn't use prior to entering the sleeper. If you spend any less than 8 hours in the sleeper, it won't pause the 14-hour clock and will count against your 14 hours of on-duty time. Having a sleeper berth also gives you the option of splitting your 10-hour break into 2 segments, with driving time or on-duty time in between. To use the split sleeper berth option, one of your breaks must be at least 8 consecutive hours in the sleeper berth, and the other qualifying break must be at least 2 consecutive hours off-duty. The qualifying break of at least 2 consecutive hours may be spent in the sleeper berth, off-duty, or a combination of the 2. The word split in this option refers to the fact that the 2 breaks do not have to happen consecutively. For example, if you go off-duty for 2 hours, drive for 5 hours, then take your 8-hour break in the sleeper, you can continue driving until you've reached your limits under the 11-hour and 14-hour rules. Further, these split breaks can count as the 30-minute mandatory rest break you're required to take. I know this can be confusing. In fact, it's one of the most often misunderstood exceptions by both drivers and officers. So if you plan to use the split break as part of your driving strategy, I suggest you spend some time reviewing this exception in the regulations.